Hello everybody, this is Belgamer and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to talk about something that I've been reading up a lot on. And look, I imagine a lot of you guys have been looking up about the Xbox One. And I'm not going to be surprised if you already know pretty much everything I'm about to say. Let me get one thing clear. I believe a lot of the reasons to like the Xbox One are legitimate. I have no problem with people and their views, but there are a few things I want to focus on today that some people are covering the Xbox have skipped over. As everybody knows, the main issue about the Xbox One, other than the always on and pinging home, is the issue of used games. Now, I'm not going to get into a debate on if used games are good or bad for the industry. What I do believe is that this interesting mention was put in place. Yusuf, who is the head of the marketing and PR, I believe, last Wednesday went on to mention that the Xbox One would allow for users to log into another Xbox and share his library with friends. Now, the main thing to take away from this, of course, is that yes, technically not used games, more a form of game lending. The issue I have with this is not really an alternative. It's only for 10 friends, and it doesn't mention if you can remove somebody from that access and let somebody else access it. True, I only have like 2 friends who still use Xbox Live, but it's still a point that I think should be worth mention. That's pretty much my main issues with it. Now, another thing worth mentioning in this regard is very much another interesting quote. This temporary confusion discovered amongst the audiences would be worth it to gamers and consumers as consumers adjust to a world without game discs. Now, this one's strange. Now, Microsoft believed that this was the future. And true, one day it will most likely be an all digital media. At the end of the day, that's the way it went with PC gaming, and you can kind of see why Microsoft would see the prospect of doing the same with consoles would be attractive. But I feel like the main issue here is they're trying to rush the process. That's why they're only allowing an online connection. They're only allowing online connection because they pretty much want to sort of shoehorn all their customers, or all the customers who buy an Xbox One, have an internet connection, and when they want to sort of make them buy stuff all digital. They also believe, I would believe, they just smell an opportunity to make money selling all the stuff through their own servers. I also understand that Microsoft probably made most of the money on its 360 from, the small majority of customers who had an online connection on the Xbox 360. And that's fair enough. Now, the main problem I have with everything here is something that, you would think would get mentioned somewhere along the way. Now, I would imagine someone in marketing or PR or research and development going, yes, we can do it always online. That's no problem whatsoever. We can do it always online. That way we can make sure all the games are legitimate, and we can make sure that all customers will buy stuff through our market store, blah blah blah. Now, the main problem is it was a huge risk on Microsoft's part, because you can see that this idea was purely based on the fact that they were hoping that Sony would have something very similar in place. Now, the main problem is Sony didn't. Even though Sony did that patent about, being able to verify games even on an offline state, Sony never went ahead with that technology, and I believe Microsoft was expecting them to. Now, when you think about that, that is probably the main reason why Microsoft went ahead with this, because they simply thought the PS4 would have the very similar sort of technology. So what's happened is they've done really poor timing. The PS4 has pretty much gobbled up any users that would be offline, and a lot of people just generally feel uncomfortable having an always online console and are just naturally going to go for the PS4. So far, it looks like the Xbox One is going to have really crap market share, which is of course bad for business and bad for getting people to actually develop and want exclusives on that gaming console. Now, the main problem I had with Microsoft is everything they seem to talk about is always very quiet and very sneaky. They don't seem to like explaining anything in detail. Like, most example was the RDM, where we were told it always had to be online one moment, the next moment it only has to be online once a day. Now, technically, in my view, a lie. And I can quite easily explain why. The reason why that's a lie is because even if it has to be connected to the internet once every single day, what, you're going to take the risk? Of course you're going to connect your Xbox into the internet all the time. That's the thing, they know that. That's pretty much it. You're going to be forced to always have that Xbox connected to the internet. Period. That's it. Now, also another problem I have is pretty much the Xbox 360 as an offline alternative. That's kind of a big fuck you to a lot of people, especially comparing to the extreme example of no internet connection on your nuclear sub. A console that was made about 8 years ago has nowhere near the power of the newest consoles, and I believe soon we'll just simply have no more games released for it is not really an alternative. Don Matrick really dropped the ball on that, and I don't believe, how could he get to the job with such poor customer service skills? Now, another thing worth mentioning, and you know what the problem here really is at the end of the day, is they're trying to make the Xbox elitist. They want you to go, the Xbox is for, your 24-year-olds with lots of money to spend, internet connection, always online, you want to be hip and trendy, you need an Xbox. And the problem with that is there's another company that does that, and it's called Apple. And of course, that's the company that Microsoft really wants to compete with. Because Microsoft once dominated the OS circuit, and they lost to Apple because Apple knew how to pretty much access everyone's pure sense of smug. They want everyone to be smug about their own price. At the end of the day, Microsoft is sort of a Joe average of software. They're just good at just generally filling in everything. Now, I used to like Microsoft. In fact, I used to be good friends with a representative from Microsoft. And I just believe this is really a bad way to go. I mean, I had a Windows 7.5 phone, and I absolutely loved it. I used to also have Windows 8, and even though, a bit of a issue with the touchscreen interface, once I downloaded the start button, it was pretty much a faster version of Windows 7, so that's not bad. But the problem here is Apple controls everything about an Apple product, and now Microsoft wants to do the same. And the main issue is, I think, with Microsoft is if you go, for example, of a company that actually is successfully competing against Apple, which is Samsung, they didn't beat Apple by becoming pretentious. They beat Apple by pretty much showing Apple users how pretentious they were. And that's kind of what Microsoft needs to do now. Now, that's pretty much all I have to really comment on today. Now, leave your comments, any questions, I will try and answer them if I can. I'll link the articles that I've referenced in the below description, and like and subscribe if you like the video.